I'm freaking out about Star Wars. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story is directed by Gareth Edwards, and he did Godzilla back in 2014, a movie that I really liked. So when he was attached to the Star Wars movie, I was pretty excited about it. The movie stars Felicity Jones, Donnie Yen, Alan Tudyk, Mads Mikkelsen, a whole bunch of other people. There's a lot of really great talent in this movie. Now, I think some people get confused as to when this movie takes place. This is not the sequel to The Force Awakens that came out last year. That's episode 7 in the timeline. So we've got episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one takes place right before episode 4. And it's about how they get the plans to the Death Star so they can blow this thing and go home. I absolutely love Star Wars. It's one of my favorite franchises out there. I've seen all the movies, I read the books, the comic books, all of that stuff. So I was super excited for a new movie that isn't from the main saga. It was the first spin-off. Bob Iger even said so. He said, this movie is an experiment. It's such a divergence from what we normally make for Star Wars movies that we're not really sure how it's going to turn out. And it turned out beautifully. I loved this movie. It's very different from a lot of other Star Wars movies that are out there, but I really think it holds its own as a standalone story, but tying into the universe as a whole as well. Let's start off with the performances. Felicity Jones is the main character. She's pretty good. I think I liked her more in The Theory of Everything, though. For me, the standouts of this movie was Donnie Yen, who played a blind man named Chirrut Emwe, and Alan Tudyk, who played the robot K2SO. I thought both of these characters were really great. They added some good humor to the movie, but they also had very dramatic points as well. We also had Mads Mikkelsen, who played the character of Galen Erso, who is the father of Felicity Jones's character, and Ben Mendelsohn, who played director Orson Krennic. He's an ambitious Imperial officer who doesn't really get along with other people, and he's trying to climb his way up, and he butts heads with people along the way. One of the things that the director Gareth Edwards promised us is that it was going to be a war movie, and it really feels like it. This is a boots on the ground, dirty, gritty, in-your-face film, and it shows war scenes in Star Wars, unlike how we've ever seen them before, and I really appreciated that a lot. But even though the war scenes were really in your face, the rest of the cinematography in this movie was really gorgeous as well. Even though this might not be the best Star Wars movie, it's definitely the best looking Star Wars movie. All the shots are gorgeous. One of the things that this movie does to set itself apart from the other Star Wars movies is it doesn't have an opening crawl. It still has a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away at the beginning, but it doesn't start with the opening crawl. It just gets right into it. I really liked that it didn't have an opening crawl. I've heard a lot of people online whining and complaining about it. At the end of the day, I think it's a really good way to separate itself from the rest of the movies and really clarify that this is its own thing. It's a side story. It doesn't have any Skywalkers in it. Well, kind of. It's its own story. It is its own thing with its own characters, and establishes its own little side world. So this is the first Star Wars movie not to be composed by John Williams. It's composed by Michael Giacchino, who is my second favorite film composer behind John Williams, and I thought he just did a fantastic job. There's a lot of good ties to the original Star Wars themes, adding a lot of new stuff and more nuances to the music. I thought it really made it strong. The final 10 minutes of this movie are remarkable. It rivals the airport fight scene in Captain America Civil War, as in, it gives me everything that I ever wanted to see in a Star Wars movie with fight scenes and all that. It gives it to me and makes me so happy. There's a lot of really good, deep nerd cuts and Star Wars references in this movie. Everything from books, the comic books, the other movies. There's references to everything packed in here. Now, if you're not as hardcore a Star Wars fan as myself or other people, it's going to go over your head, but not in the sense that you're going to be lost in what's happening in the story. These things are put in the movie very subtly, so that people who notice them can be like, I see what you did there. But everyone else is just going to be like, hey, let's move on. Some of the negatives that I have for this movie is that it has a lot of story to tell, and it doesn't waste time jumping into it. So it just introduces all the characters to us really quickly and gets on the ride, and we're like, hey, here we go. So we're meeting all of our characters almost in passing because we've got to get to where we're going so fast that we don't have time to sit and meet with them. And so that's why I think one of this movie's biggest problems is that it sacrifices character building for world building, and even though Star Wars is a great world, it's already built and established. So I wish they would have slowed down just a little bit to give us a bit more about these characters and make me care about them a bit more for when stuff happens later in the movie. Also, there are a couple of CG characters in the movie. I won't get any deeper into that about who these characters are, but there are a couple of CG characters in the movie that you can really tell that they're done by computers, and it looks like something's just a little off about them because the technology is just not there yet to make these characters look the way that they should look. Also, this is the first Star Wars movie to include lower thirds. Now, lower thirds are when they put text on the screen right about here to let you know where you are. So when a new planet shows up, a little text shows up right about here saying like, oh, you're on this planet, you're on this planet, you're on this planet. And they haven't done that in Star Wars before, and it kind of threw me off a bit. I wasn't crazy about that, but because the movie is so good, I get over it and I'm fine. So overall, I really, really enjoyed Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and I'd have to say it is definitely Podle approved. I didn't get into the plot very much of the movie because I didn't want to wreck it for anyone. Maybe I'll do a spoilers review where I just talk about everything that happens in the movie. I might do that later. So thanks for watching my review. You can leave a comment below if you saw Rogue One. Let me know what you thought about it, or let me know what you thought about this review. Give me a subscription if you haven't done so already, and if you got nothing else to do, go watch more movies.